Since the beginning of the show, Diane, we've been talking about one of our contributors, and you singled them out. You said, look, the others are good, but there's nobody quite like Tanya Unkovic, right? You said that.
Something like that. What I was trying to say is that we often get a bit of feedback on all of the different contributors, but I would say the most feedback we get is about Tanya and some of the messages that she gives. Now, earlier today, Alan phoned up, spoke with Kat and Tom about some advice that Tanya had given and how it had revolutionised a situation he was facing. Yeah, situation he was facing in his marriage.
Tanya joins us on the program now. Tanya, you've got some fans in the Rima audience, and hey, isn't it good to know that the ideas that God gives you, the things that you share on your social media platforms, are making such a difference in people's lives?
Yeah, look, this is one of those goosebump moments and reminds me of why I do this, to be able to give back to mankind and contribute. Nothing is ever wasted in our lives. Nothing is ever wasted. And to be able to turn it around and go, I'm going to help someone else through something. But to hear that it has changed someone's life, that
I think he was taking notes because he had all the keywords and he was.
He honestly did. It was so lovely to listen
We'll
into.
send you the MP3 perhaps of the conversation on air so that you can have a listen to it, because it was a great conversation, him talking about that. But hey, today, talking about the importance of feelings and emotions, I mean, they are important, but sometimes not the most reliable guide to what we should do. What do you think, Tanya?
Well, so many of us fear feelings, or we've got a story in our head about if you're too emotional, if you cry, it's not cool.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's not the blokey thing to do to share feelings. But the other thing is we're scared of it. We're scared to feel, and we do everything to run from it. So today I want to encourage everyone on how to not only feel the feelings, but to embrace them and welcome them and grow through them.
I mean, I really love this, Tanya, because I do agree. I think that, for whatever reason, we want to stuff those emotions down, whether we find them embarrassing or whether it's just really uncomfortable to start feeling them. I mean, can we trust our emotions? So say, for instance, we might feel angry at a situation. Is that really anger all the time?
The thing is to trust yourself that you'll be able to move through the emotion and go a little bit deeper to find out what it really is. So that's a great question that you asked. Can we trust the emotion? The first thing to do is trust yourself that you'll get through it, because quite often you're like, rage comes up, you're angry and all that sort of stuff. But when you sit with that emotion long enough, you will probably discover that what's really going on, what is underneath that, is something much deeper. And what is often underneath the anger is sadness and grief. But we find so many other ways to display it, because feeling grief is one of the most painful to feel. So we'll do everything to not feel it.
Yeah. I suppose just as in the same way that pain can be our friend because it lets us know that there's a problem that needs addressing, emotions, feelings can also be our friend, not to live there, not to dwell in them, but to say, hey, here's something we might need to deal with, here's something that might need looking at perhaps.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, to embrace the feelings instead of going, oh my God, this is so scary, I'm so full of fear. Go, oh, hi there, fear, it's you again. What are you here to teach me? So embrace them and welcome them, because here's the truth. You're not going to get through life on an even keel. It's going to be up and down. So we need to get used to the discomfort of those uncomfortable feelings. Just get used to it and trust that they will pass, that you will grow through it, and that eventually good will come out of it. You really do need to believe that.
I mean, we do have some interesting coping mechanisms when perhaps feelings that we don't want to feel come up. I mean, what are some of those things that may be a sign to us that actually I am feeling something right now, but I'm using this to disguise it? Could you give us some of those?
Well, how many times do we kind of go home at night and we're on our own and we might open a bottle of this or a packet of chippies or something like that, and we'll just have one and then we have two, and then before we know it, the food or the alcohol is our friend and comfort during those times of loneliness. So there's a very, very common one because loneliness is such a big thing. And you may or may not be in a relationship. You may still be lonely, but the substance becomes your comfort and your friend. And another common one that I was talking to someone about this week, an executive in fact, who says they just eat all the time. They're grazing all day, and they find that they do it when they're agitated at work, when they don't know how to solve a problem. So they'll run to the fridge, or people who are working from home, they'll go straight to the fridge, or they'll go to the coffee shop or anything like that, because that agitation of the stress of work or the task ahead of them is what keeps them nibbling all day. And so it's about really, firstly, identifying these patterns that you may have started and haven't managed to break yet.
Of course, not all emotions, not all feelings are negative. We can have quite positive feelings as well. But I suppose we, as grown-ups, as adults processing life, we don't want to stay at any particular spot for too long. What are some strategies that we can use to put emotions in the right perspective in life, so that they're not dominating who we are, they're not filling us with anxiety or stress, but we're using them in a positive way as we move forward to become better people?
Yeah, well, let's use the example that you just said, that not all feelings are negative. Sometimes people, when they're overexcited, they get on that adrenaline high, and that's what they want to be on all the time.
Yeah.
And even then they run to the food and the alcohol. It's because of the high, And so just be mindful of keeping an even keel and identify when you are noticing that you are feeling something uncomfortable. Identify when you are too high or too low, and get used to just being on an even keel. Some people say that's boring, but you know what? Sometimes life is boring. So there's one thing. You've just got to be mindful. That is the main strategy.
You can't be up the whole time, otherwise you're just going to crash, right?
You absolutely will. And, that is so common. People go, oh, no, but I always want to be happy. Actually, trust me, you don't.
Yeah.
Because eventually it's too much and it's not realistic. That's just not life. So you must also accept that life is going to be a beautiful road, but there's potholes on the way. And those potholes are going to trip us up, and we're going to feel discomfort and anger and frustration. Get used to the potholes. Also develop a strong personal belief in yourself that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what feeling you are facing, you will be able to deal with it, because that's who you are, and that is who you've always been, and you've already dealt with all of those feelings already at some point in your life. They're nothing new.
And I love this idea that actually sometimes, in one day we can feel, sadness, but actually at the end of the day we can be laughing and feel joy. It's okay to let the two coexist, isn't it?
Without question, and so often when we are in a place of grief or grieving, maybe we've lost someone, and then we feel a bit of joy. We feel guilty about it. We go, oh no, but I'm not allowed to feel joy because someone's just passed away, or, my life's too good. Allow joy and grief to coincide, and give yourself permission, actually. That's the big thing. Give yourself permission.
Something which you talk about often is the idea of being aware of where you're at, and perhaps writing that down, or doing a prayer journal, and just pacing yourself. And I suppose with all the ups and downs, it's easy to concentrate on the space where you are. But when you push back a little bit and look at the big picture of where you've been and how you survived in that, it's such a wonderful way of putting the current emotion and feeling in perspective with the bigger journey, I suppose. Yeah,
journaling, and also it's a great way to document the fact that you've already overcome hardship, you've already overcome these feelings. So journal them out. It's a great way to build that personal foundation. Another thing is the fastest way to change how you feel is to move your body. So get up and move, shake it off, even if it's just 5 minutes of jogging on the spot or something. Anything like that will really help change your state.
Tanya, this is such good stuff, and I think we could be in emotions for weeks on end. There is so much to cover here. But thank you for being a part of today's show. We and our listeners very much appreciate you.
Oh, look, I'm really grateful that you shared that with me, and I will keep doing what I know I'm meant to be doing. So there you go.
Thanks,
Changing
Tanya.
lives.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.